Good morning, New Earth Star. How is everybody today? Welcome to another beautiful summer day. We're so very grateful to be here. We're so very grateful. We'll start off the day with some gratitude and appreciation. Thank you so much to the beautiful elementals and the fairies and all of the beautiful beings that are on our planet that are assisting with nature and wildlife and having us create the new energies within our grids that are vibrating up through all the beautiful tropical soils and the trees and the flowers and all of those beautiful things. Thank you so much to all of our ancestors that are with us in every moment. So if you ever have any questions or if assistance with your healing, please call upon your ancestors. Your ancestors have lived many lives before you and have understood the earth in different ways, and they're here to give us many new perspectives and information about the planet and where we're going and what we've been moving on and how we've been transcending generational curses and hexes and transcending obstacles and challenges that we've all been on. As we all take a big sigh, can we just have enough of the generational curses and hexes for a while? I think I've had enough of the generational stuff, and we can just take a break. Let's take a break. Can we take a break now? When's my break? So we're going to talk today about the clairs. We're going to do a little bit more about the clairs. We're also going to overview again the protocol. It's important that we talk about these things all the time because it's going to be part of our everyday life. What type of guidelines and protocols are you allowing for your own life and how you're working with your various clairs, how you're aligning in your sacred trinity, knowing that you're providing the highest and the best information and always within the highest and greater good. So give yourself a few affirmations that if you're choosing to open up to the collective and practicing your gifts and talents, that's why you have them. So a source creator and your teams are always going to be inspiring and empowering you to work with your gift skills and talents. And the only way that you can activate those gift skills and unpack what's really in your field and unpack what's in your DNA, and kind of unpack what's there for you is for you to practice them. So, a lot of us will do this today. We'll do a little bit of practicing with our clairs. And it's just getting in there and just practicing it and just trusting what you feel, trusting what you sense, and trusting what you're hearing. Spirit's voice is very soft, and Spirit's voice is they're very short, and they usually give you one or two sentences at a time, and they usually very short in their conversations with you. It's always very soft, and their information is always very gentle. So just understand the difference between source and spirit and the ones that are coming from other frequencies like deities and energies like that. So your spirit guides and your higher self will always be in the softest voice, and they're always in the most, this higher self is that beautiful inner voice that is always with you in every moment. So as you're moving through your day, it'll be that little voice that says, turn here, look at that flower. Your higher self always asks you to pay attention to life, to pay attention to and appreciate nature. So your higher self is always that little voice that allows you to really breathe in and smell the roses, take care of your health, slow down. That's the voice of the inner voice. So the inner voice is always talking with you, always. How you shut it down is by not appreciating yourself, not loving yourself, not honoring yourself, not moving in a path that's right for you. Again, when you're giving others power over you and you're giving others importance over you, that's when your higher voice gets shut off because you're choosing to pay attention to outer as opposed to inner. So always go within and create that inner dialogue. Have that connection and relationship with your inner dialogue that shows that you're showing the universe. This is how you change and shift dimensions. This is how you change and shift who you are dimensionally, vibrationally. And because that was part of our video the other day, is Commander Ashtar was showing us simple little tips and hints to shift your vibration, to shift how you perceive yourself within the all. Remember, you are the smaller holographic experience against the higher holographic experience, Source Creator. You are a representation of Source. You are an emulation of Source, of the Divine Mother and the Father. And that's why we're all working on the Divine Feminine Masculine energies. As the Kundalini moves up and as our DNA gets activated, we end up allowing ourselves to become more harmonized. But we have to be understanding and really take commandmentship. Yes, this is who I am now, and I'm taking a grander part in my journey. I'm going to be the driver of my ship. That's what Source wants. And so therefore, stand in your power, stand in the light of who you are, reclaim the power of your voice, that is the spiritual voice. Does this feel right for me spiritually? Does this sound like it's in alignment with me spiritually? Is this a higher truth for me spiritually? Because everything from here on out is a spiritual journey. So just allow yourself to keep going back to that. What we've learned in church and state will take a back seat, and now you're moving into the front seat of being the spiritual driver of your spiritual journey, and it has nothing to do with religion. Religion is an aspect of how we've learned different schools of practices and behaviors for us to explore source God, right? Now we're wanting a higher explanation. We want a higher umbrella of source. We want the quantum omnipresence of source, because that's how we heal our bodies. It's how we heal within creation. It's how we connect with our planet. It's how we connect with our collective. And it will be the only way that we allow ourselves to heal the various problems that we have manifested here on Earth. And we have to think and allow ourselves to become more quantumly arranged within ourselves, more quantumly arranged within the dynamics of who we are. So it's very important that we see ourselves as quantum experiences of source, that we see ourselves as quantum magnifiers of source, and we initiate spirit, we initiate source through breath, through intention, through direction, and through the focus of our energies. And so that's how you create reality. And so how do you shift reality? Shifting reality is taking yourself outside of an old perspective. It's taking yourself outside of an old belief. So again, the department store. If you're in a big mall and there's 150 stores, smaller stores inside the mall, each little store is how we usually in human form, how we usually compartmentalize beliefs, how we compartmentalize perspectives. And so now you're wanting to just go outside that store and become under a bigger umbrella. Instead of going into all these stores, just have it the bigger umbrella of the quantum oneness of source creator. All life is source. And therefore, that's then, whether it's an animal or an insect or a tree or water, similar to, Buddhist, theology, everything, an aspect is life and oneness. So therefore, thus then, do not harm and take out and rip out and kill, if you will, because it's all an aspect of source, and it really is. Everything in creation is an aspect of source. And so just allowing us a greater appreciation. So start your day with greater gratitude and appreciation. So we're going to take you on all of my classes and all of my videos. We take you on steps that you do and every day to shift your perspective, to shift who you are alchemically, shift who you are as a spirit, shift who you are as a higher vibrational, dimensional, human spirited being. We each have celestial and alien DNA within our human sacred bodies. We are an hominid. We are aspects of humanoid beings. And now we're just allowing ourselves to become the grander umbrella of who we are, we've always been, and what excitements are within this reality for us, and how do we create in new ways that is the God encompassment. We want to become the godliness of who we are. We want to have commandmentship of ourselves. We want to have commandmentship of our bodies and our bones and our blood, all that we are as God, therefore manifesting and shifting and alchemizing those older aspects and perspectives that held us very separate from God, held us very down and suppressed from God, and which we have never been and we never will be. And so all that we are as divine sacred beings, allowing ourselves to harmonize in all moments and be grateful for all that your DNA is, all that your outer reality is and reflecting to you, because it allows you to see a new perspective of Source Creator. And then having great gratitude and appreciation for all of the teams and the beings that you walk with, because they're always allowing you to move closer into your highest path and taking some beautiful detours every now and then to appreciate light in new versions of life. There's always light. There is always light. No matter how dark something might seem, there is always light. A master is that which chooses to seek it. So that's where most of us that have been the warriors from Mother, Father, God, we do go to those darker places because we do have gifts and talents and skills that allow us to seek out the light within the dark. And we become that light, and then we allow ourselves to kind of navigate. No matter how dark anything is, there is always light there, because there is always Source Creator there. And so it's a matter of you choosing your perspective, choosing a belief. No matter how dark something might be, there's always a way that you can alchemize a belief, you can alchemize a perspective to have it turn in your favor. And it doesn't mean forcing reality. It just means shifting your perspective. It doesn't mean forcing voodoo or doing energy or mind manipulation or spell work or anything like that. We want to have ourselves come into a more healthy respect for energy, healthy respect for the teams and guides and your ancestors that have always been guiding you into a healthier way of becoming, rather than manipulating and corrupting environments, manipulating and corrupting energy, manipulating and corrupting those around you, because that is not a benevolent way to move, and you will never be blessed. You might get a short-term outcome of your so-called, your so-called outcome. You might get a short-term response and you might get a short-term win, but you'll have to, that your reality will show you that you're going to have to go through another circumstance where you're not going to get that outcome next time. And this is where many people right now are going through karma, because they have been working so far and so deep in all of the dark densities that we've been moving through for so long in 3D. But now that the omnipresent is more pure and rarefied, now that there is more light, more people are awakening, there is harder and harder for those to get away with what they've always gotten away with. And so every day we're becoming more and more light. Every day we're becoming more and more transparent because it just feels good for us. We don't want to walk in so much drama and karma. Nobody wants to walk in, 24/7 of karma. So walking in truth and being more transparent with yourself, being more transparent with what are your priorities, what is important to you, who are you, what do you exist within, and what's going on within you, and have yourself state that importance every day. That does clarify your tissues. It does clarify your fields. When you're a very clear being, when you're very clear about who you are, when you're very clear about your aura, just emulates these profound energies and these profound codes of light and these profound codes of who you are as a DNA energy. So they're showing me right now that when each of us walk forward in the capacity of who we are and what we have activated within our DNA, that's the magnitude of your ability to become all that you are is the completion point, I suppose, how much you have activated your DNA. And your DNA, again, consists of all of the planetary realms, all of the planetary species, all of those aspects of you that you have been, because we're now working from 3 to 5D. These DNA aspects will only be 3 to 5D from all over the galaxy and universe. You're going to be activating the higher aspects of your DNA through the higher chakras when you get those activated. But first, most of our human collective is working at clearing and understanding the lower chakras because there's a lot of lower chakra damage. That's why we're having to pull up the subconscious of the collective, which is the underbelly of the sexual repressions, which exists within the lower 2 chakras. So right now as a collective, we are healing as a collective the lower 2 chakras and all of the wounds that have existed there, specifically for the Divine Masculines collective, and for us to, heal those Divine Masculine wounds about the sexual repressions and allowing yourself a more fluidic flow between the axional lines, between your Divine Feminine energies and what that really means for you in your daily life. Because everybody has a different temperament and pacing for your energies, for your Divine Feminine energy, your Divine Masculine energy, and each of us come with different wounds. We have to, obviously, because we're unique, right? You come with a different experience on how many lifetimes you've been here on Earth. You come with a different DNA experience. That's why I know 2 people are saying you cannot, never ever try and be like anybody else, ever. It's the quickest way for you to waste your time, and it's the quickest way for you to waste your energy. The outer is only reflections for you to know that they're your brother and sister. That's it. They're there to also activate you, like myself. I have codes in my field and I have energy in my field, and the light that I carry activates those to become more crystalline clear with who they are, because I'm crystalline. So my energy ripple and emulating out to you will trigger you, and it will show you where you're not operating in your highest crystalline truth, where you're not higher in your crystalline clarity of who you are. I'm very clear about who I am. So when I'm very clear about who I am, I present a very clear, truthful, transparent expression. Therefore, those that approach me that are not in that, they get triggered. But that's your cue. That's my job. That's my role. I understand that. But those that are on the outer don't understand that. They're wondering, why is there an expression of experience when people experience my energy? Oftentimes the codes of shifting your experience happen after you click off the video and you give yourself time just to process and integrate the information from our video. Because I offer a lot of codes, I offer new information, I offer new perspectives, but it's up to you to go within and say, how do I feel about that? And you do your daily Ascension pathwork. Doing your daily Ascension pathwork, make no mistake about it, helps you activate your DNA activations. Your DNA activations are very profound. I've written about it in my books. I've written about it in many of my blogs and my vlogs, and I've talked about it before. The DNA activations are, in my opinion, they are one of the strongest activations that you can have. And it assists you and sometimes prepares you for, there's different types of activations. I'm giving you these informations, and this is all copyright. This is my information. You cannot go and say this and then say this is yours. When you have a DNA activation, it can prepare you for a paradigm shift. And a paradigm shift is different than a perspective shift. A paradigm shift is where you've had very prominent experiences within your belief systems. It's done through your teams and Mother, Father, God. If you have done a certain amount of clearing and cleansing, but there's one belief within your experience, there's one belief that's kind of holding you back, your teams and your higher self will have discussions again with your health and your wellness and where you're at, what's coming up next, We'll have a discussion with what's been activated. Has it been a DNA shift? Has there been activation in your fields? How are you processing information through what we've talked about, capacity and aptitude? How are you processing and integrating light? How are you processing and integrating the vibrational timeline shifts that your teams move you on? Most people do not know when they've made a timeline shift or when they've jumped different timelines. It doesn't matter. I do. I know. The more aware you are with your body, the more aware you are with your teams, the more better connection and relationship you have with your teams, you're going to know those very subtle shifts. On my channel, I teach and I offer experiences and information that assist you in becoming very subtly masterful, because that's what we want. We want to be subtle in our gifts. We want to be subtle in who we are and what we sense and what we feel and what we know, what we see, what we hear. We want to be very subtle in these gifts. We want to become masterful. That's becoming a higher vibrational, higher dimensional being. We're preparing ourselves to step out of how we've used to explore ourselves and define ourselves and even express ourselves. We want to be very masterful and very subtle. The DNA is one of those activations that assists us in becoming profoundly subtle, because it does activate, it is a catalyst, the DNA, what they have shown me. When that light hits that DNA codon, it is a multidimensional ripple, and it does affect other aspects of your body and your fields, how you sense information, how you hear information coming in your field. I've talked about that with the galactic ears, the audible gifts that turn on. And we can talk about that when we talk about our clairs. And you can absolutely sense that it's a tangible biophysical experience. You can feel your body moving through these beautiful multidimensional shifts and activations. And that's part of the DNA. That's part of what the DNA does. The DNA helps prepare you for those paradigm shifts. Because until you see and sense something, until you see and sense that tree is really speaking to you, and wow, you just heard something when you walked by that tree when you went for your walk yesterday, when you start to tune into how nature and creation is talking with you, how God is talking to you in all ways, until you have those profound experiences, you just walk about life thinking that you're so separate from things, and you don't have that. You're still in that old paradigm. You're in that old realm of thinking there is no God, there's nothing outside of me, and you have all those negative states of energies and opinions because you're just moving and you're working on the same karmic cycle. You're still placing your body, your senses, your spirit in those same old, put in a box, nobody talks to you, and there's nothing going on there. And that's the box you sit in. That's the store you sit in. That's the department store in the big mall you sit in. So now we're saying, let's take out the whole mall and just have that bigger umbrella of everything being omnipresent. There's quark and there's energy in the omnipresent field, and it's always rippling like this. There's little threads that ripple, carrying information, carrying sounds, carrying codes, carrying stories, carrying the downloads. But if you're not aligned to it, just like the radio, if you're not aligned to those vibrational stories, if you're not aligned to those vibrational codes in your field, you're not activating them, you're not doing your daily ascension path work. That's why I always suggest, if you want to be more enlightened, if you want to be a master in who you are as an energy being, if you want to prepare yourself for first contact, book an ascension session with me. And we can determine where about you are at. You know, how connected are you with your teams? Are you doing these practices daily? Are you working with creating that sensation of relationship with reading energy? How do you read energy? Can we be more subtle with it? Can we be more masterful with it? Can we be more refined with it? Because when you find out and when you're moving into a 5D alignment, how can I allow my all being to be aligned with a 5D vocation so I can actually make some money and assist humanity in all of the gifts that I am, and how beautiful I am as a divine God being. God's given me this beautiful picture of emulation of God's perfection and all of the experiences that I've earned as being a soul. When you start activating and integrating those soul fragments and you do your healing, you get those soul benefits of the gifts and the skills and the talents. So they become active in your field. So now how are you going to align it and refine it so that you can now package it in a beautiful way that you can present it, as we said, as the representation of the heavens? And because there's many infinite heavens, each and every one of us is a unique piece of that representational story. That's why you never have to worry about competition. Competition drops when you begin your actual self-actualization process, because you understand there is no possible way any two people should ever and would ever, why would we ever want to be like anybody else? All you want to do is see that as a reflection, as like, wow, I really like that in that person. And you find those things that you like. Why? Because there's things that are in you that are very similar, and you want those activated as well. That's why we act as mirrors for each other. We act as mirrors for each other for triggers. We act as mirrors for each other in all that is the infinity. We act as positive mirrors. We act as neutral mirrors. I can hang out with that. I like how they're just standing there neutrally. They're accepting all things. And then we can also have negative aspects of us that trigger. It's all purposeful. It's all there for you. As we said in our last video, it's all for you. Everything in the outer is all for you. It's up to you to say, okay, where do I sit with this? Let's go and do some reflection time. And I was very happy yesterday. I was just talking with somebody and I said, what's been going on lately? I said, I've been reflecting. And it was really nice because that was one of the first things I said. So we're starting to communicate with ourselves differently. We're starting to have a different relationship with ourselves. Whereas before they would say, I spent the time at the gym and I did this and I did that. Most of your day is spent in outer getting busy and doing and making yourself busy and, not really paying attention to the importance of what's going on within you. So when people say to me right off the bat, I did a lot of reflection work yesterday, I was really happy about it. And this person wasn't somebody that, talked to me about healing all the time, because I have my clients that they would say things like that because that's just how we talk, because we're always client, teacher, and mentor experience. So those are the things you talk about. But when it's just people in the public, it makes me very happy because it shows that the collective is changing. The collective is now looking more within themselves and saying, what really does make me? What are my priorities about who I am in this world? And how do I want to navigate on the planet? How do I want to navigate with a greater cohesion? How do I want to navigate with a greater emulation of who I am as a very prominent and emulance of divinity and sacredness? You want to hold that reverence of who you are, as Jesus had always said to me, hold yourself as the Most High does. The Most High has a code for your name. Your name is very chosen with codes in it. And your vibrational field is with codes in it. And that's what Jesus had meant when he said, you will be known by your vibration. Because your vibration carries that emulation of vibration all the way through the various codes of the dimensions that we're all threaded with, right? Every dimension has a thread, has infinite threaded bands within one dimension. These bands can be like one dimension of the fourth dimension. And every time we expand within the fourth dimension, those bands get wider. The bandwidth of the dimension gets wider because there's more. What makes a dimension? I'm going to keep asking you, what makes a dimension? A dimension is information and vibration. So the more that the collective awaken within that dimension, that bandwidth expands. So that bandwidth is getting bigger. That's how creation breathes. When we talk about, if you do read any of, that's why I always tell you, I am a big proponent of people doing their own homework, because you want to be the best for you. You want to have that self-knowing that I've read a lot of self-actualization books. I've read a lot of books about awakening. I've done as much investigation as I can, because you're going to feel the familiarity between the terms that we use. And that's how you know somebody that is very consciously aware and awake. You want to be with those that they provide juice and they provide nuggets of information and codes of wisdom that you can carry with you as a soul. They activate the soul. They activate the soul to remember who you are as an ancient being of light, of source creator. You want to be, and you want to place yourself and watch as many videos as you can of those people, because they carry very ancient and very futuristic codes. They remind you how to be a full soul. And these beings cannot be copied. They cannot be doppelgangered. They cannot be whatever has been trying to be done on my behalf. They cannot be. These are essence codes and the essences of the spirit. And the spirit is only emulated and activated through practice, consciousness practice. This is why we say do Ascension pathwork every day. You can only activate the spirit if you are in alignment, if you are in always commitment of your connection and your relationship, that is spirit. Everything before you is matter, but are you infusing spirit within it? Are you seeking the spirit within it? Are you hearing spirit within it? Are you connecting in a vibration of spirit within it? Are you orating and discerning the story within it? That's what we're getting at, dear lighted ones. Everything is energy, everything is omnipresence, everything is God. How will you navigate your new reality? It's going to be more sensing, more feeling. So as much as you can practice your daily Ascension pathwork, and you can buy my books, you can book a session, and becoming very highly acute and aware of how you sense and read energy is going to be very keen on how you're going to communicate with your teams and guides to say, how can we really tap into my gifts and skills and talents so that I can perhaps down the road, after I work with it for 6 months, perhaps down the road I can start aligning myself with a 5D vocation. You don't jump into it tomorrow. You give yourself time. Again, you want to be a master. Don't ever rush who you are as God. You want that dodecahedron because your clients will be sometimes more advanced than you. And you'll want to be absolutely aware because of your integrity, which we've found so many people on the planet don't care about integrity because they're not connected and they're not aligned. They have been taught very poor practices. They've been taught misguided practices and informations and very wrong information about the spiritual realm, about what God is and who you are as a godly being, about the spiritual higher order and the spiritual courts that take place every moment of every day. the higher realms of higher order and how spiritual laws work, and they do ripple down to the physical laws, and people like myself come forward and we speak of them, and we are them, and our words matter, and we create life through them. And then we emulate our passions and our experiences and our expressions because we wish to have a higher vibrational collective. Because it allows us to be more peaceful with one another. It allows us to move into expanded space with more consciousness and more maturity so that we're choosing to go out there and blow people up. Just because we have the guns doesn't mean you're going to go blow people up. Just because you have the ability to have great, powerful, energetic skills doesn't mean you're going to use them against all spiritual laws, which many people on this planet have. They've been abusing magic like it's a toy at McDonald's. You get in your little Big Mac superpower pack and you open up your bag and there's a little magic gift and then you go and abuse it for the day. Magic is to be held with great reverence and great sacredness once you understand the elements of our planet, once you understand the elements of all that is alchemy, once you understand the universal laws, because once you start dabbling in magic, you better bet the universal laws will be also in practice and they will come back to you. And therefore, that's then be very aware of why, how, and in what way and on whom you use magic with, because there are rules and there are spiritual order laws. Whether you see them or not, or whether they're talked about or not, it doesn't matter whether the church patron or the bishop understands it, and whether they've talked about it, and they say it's not within our church guidelines, we've never read about that as our Catholicism rules, it does not matter. Spiritual order and spiritual higher order trump all that is on planet Earth, period. And it is what the galactic federations and the galactic space beings and the light beings follow, because we are in order of the Divine Father's plan for all evolution, for all creation. I am on that behalf. That is my jurisdiction. And I come from higher order, dear lighted ones. I speak of truth and justice and fairness for all. And it's been very abused on this planet. How people have abused energy because there's been no information and no education. And why we've stated over and over and over again. YouTube, and the corruption that YouTube has held against me and the various beings of church and state that have been paying YouTube to silence my channel and suppress me. It would be very advantageous at this point, knowing of the people that you are experiencing and understanding and hearing about that are getting karma, for those that have been playing in the various games of 45 to 150 now that have been involved in trying to take me out and suppress me and silence me and make me shut up and go away, or to try and take my organs or my blood so you can study me and science me and clone me. It will never happen because you won't. God trumps all of you. God is you, and just as a breath, God can take you right out of this reality, and you'll never see me or touch me ever again. You will never have the likes to co-create with me ever, ever. So go ahead with one of your plans and see what happens to you or anybody around you. Karma is in full swing, and the ancestors are 10 toes down. There are higher spiritual order laws, everybody has been told. We're not going to keep explaining ourselves over and over with this. It's time to get up out of your hot seats. Know that you're in a new playground, and there are rules. There's always been rules, but very few people have been following them. Do unto others. Some of your first practices of the 10 Commandments were about that. How to get along on a planet when you're spiritual beings and you're matter-born beings. How can you get along with one another through acceptance and compassion of all that being one is God? Because it is. Doesn't matter your skin or what border you're born on, you are all one and you're all godly. So put down the sticks and the guns. True power and true manifestational power is knowing that you are a master, and you should never have to raise your hand to anybody or of anybody, and you should never, ever, 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 ever in a billion fucking evers have to do magic to get what you want or to feel successful. That will never be your way, and you will be sat down. Period, point blank. Practitioner or voodoo specialist from the back 40 of Africa. Doesn't matter what you think you are or what your title is. These are global knowings of new rules and higher order spiritual laws, because they have been very, 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 very badly abused by those that are in power, by those that call themselves elite, the powerful, the robed, the special, the letters and the blocks behind their names. There is a shift right now, dear lighted ones, like it or not, and it's going to keep moving. And you can join in this beautiful ride and surrender and let go to your higher self and your spirit, or you can stay in ego and keep fighting it every step of the way and earn yourself more karma hour by hour. This is how it goes. This is truly the laws. It's not anyone saying that, oh, we're now cracking down on all that is corruption. No, the corruption's always been there. There is more light on our planet, and those that are aligned and wanting to choose a higher vibrational life and eternal light, it makes sense that corruption's not okay anymore. If trafficking's going on in my neighborhood and it's being activated in my neighborhood, I want to talk about it. It's not okay. It's not okay children being lured into prostitution. It's not okay. It's not okay that adults that are very aware and of prime age to be good role models It's not okay that the percentage on our planet of the adults that are role model material, that they choose, instead of being role models, to lure children into activities of crime, prostitution, and violence. That's not okay. That's a red flag for creation. The higher vibrational and spiritual teachings and the light intelligence teachings and the wisdom teachings that I offer as an ascension teacher, as an ascension guide, as an ascension master, as Jesus did, as all the masters did, they have gone right out the window and they've never been offered. They've been suppressed in the ancient temples of light that we've had in Egypt and various places of the sorts, back in the Mayan days as well. These teachings have been suppressed because it was far easier for those that were in control, church and state. Most of them were 98.89% men. The systems were made by men, they were dictated by men, they were ruled by men, and they were brought down by men. The women were handled by men, the children were handled by men. It was all a men-based society. Women are never seen anywhere in our society except in the hospitals, and we're now even hearing more and more every day about how corrupt the hospitals are becoming. So not only did it stop at the politicians and the judicial and the laws that are supposed to keep you safe and just and fair, there's corruption that is being bled through every facet of our societies. And we all know it, and we all see it, and we all feel it. And at what point, dear lighted ones, will you stand up and say, who are you and what are you existing within and what are you going to do about it? Because there's not going to be a collective of the federations that will come down and save you from the mess that you have made and you've chosen, from your disconnection and your misalignment. It's up to each and every one of you to choose for yourselves, as we state on every video, that will activate you into higher order. Do you choose to be higher order or not? Or do you choose to be superficial, scratching the surface? It's up to you. There's no judgment. But you cannot complain about not being a master and then try and cheat yourself over the finish line at the last second and trying to take other people's work that sound like they're consciously turned on and they're consciously deep and they're consciously wide when they've been doing this for their devoted existence of 1,050 years, and you've just woken up a second ago and now you want to become something important because you want to be seen, because you're very wounded in your sense of self and you have no attention on yourself, so you want attention from all things outside of you. So then you try and plot and plan and scheme to get everything from everybody outside of you because you want to feel good about yourself because you're so empty. So the point of this whole path here, dear lighted ones, ascension and self-actualization and awakening, the foundation of it is heal. H-E-A-L, heal. In every day, ascension pathwork is about your healing. Your healing will provide you every success, every honor, every self-awareness, every self-aptitude, every self-capacity that you have within creation as you with Omni Source. You're step in step, toe to toe, hand in hand, heart to heart with Source. Period. That's all that matters. Stop being so worried about everything else outside of you and what you're going to get, what you're going to take, what you're going to have. These are vampiric, leech-like energies. This is what humanity has been brought itself to, because it has not been feeding itself through the spirit. It has not been nourishing itself through the soul and through the spirit. Because church and state does not nourish you. It never has. Now we're starting to see that, and we're starting to feel that. And that's why they want people like myself suppressed. Because I nourish. As Jesus says, you have come for the manna, and you have been fed, have you not? Your vessels have been fed, your spirits have been fed. Everything I see is feeding of your soul. Because it's right from Source. I am Source. I'm actualized as Source in human form, as best I can be, so I don't pop out in light. I'm intentional about staying in my body because I have much to do here. And it means, yes, I get to be all the facets of myself that I have entrained and I have integrated and I've processed and I've allowed myself to heal and accept and be compassionate with. I love myself now. I can be that vibrant experience of me. And I want to pass on these truths and these wisdoms in the higher vibrational intelligence of light and what it allows you to expand within and explore within and be infinitely creative. We are beings on this planet, delighted ones. There is like a speck, it's about the size of a snowflake. The collective as a whole, billions as it is, the collective creativity from this planet is about a speck of a snowflake. Collectively, how is that possible? Ask yourselves, are you feeling goosebumpily right now? Have you activated and have you called in Source? Take a deep breath. Your spine is straight. Your spine is always straight, dear lighted ones. Sit with a straight spine. It shows you care. I care about my spine and my pillar of light, moving in and out of the galactic experience of light and sound and codes. And I call in that light to my pillar of light. I call in that light to my pillar of light. I call in that light to my pillar of light. Because I am light. I love light. I want to be nourished by light. I speak of light, I think of light, my feet are light, my bones are light, my skin is light. Doesn't that feel good, dear lighted ones? Take a deep breath. Pure heart, pure mind, pure body and soul. I am a harmonized being of light. I am a reflection of the heavens. I am the divine holy creator in human form, and I get to be as I wish. I get to speak as I wish. I get to express as I wish. I am that I am. I am beyond church and state. I am all things. And in every moment I know what to do, and I discern myself, and I discern myself within my reality. I discern myself within my environment, and I will know what is good for me and what is not good for me. And nobody will speak it for me. I speak it. That is the new rule. I'm going to be soul infused because I get to work on those aspects of me I can't wait to get to know. I can't wait to get to know those failures. I can't wait to get to know those times I fell down. I can't wait to get to know those times I was killed or those times I killed others. Because I'm going to give myself compassion and all others compassions too. That's the story here, dear lighted ones. That's how you're going to get to unity. That's how you're going to get to that masterful place. Because you know everybody else is just another version of you, just in a different story, in a different encasing, a different color, a different brand, a different color, a different way that it walks, or a different way that it's been here, a different experience that has been here. Might have only had 10 lifetimes here. Who are you to say they're right or wrong? They might have been here 1,050 times, just like myself. And who is anybody to say outside of me? Doesn't matter whether they have a political job or whether they're a political government leader. It doesn't matter if they're in the bank or if they're in a policing and they've got bars on their badge. They don't know who the hell I am. I've got about 700 lifetimes over you. I can make flowers grow where I walk. My jurisdiction is the heavens, dear lighted ones, and source will clear my way. And you all know that by now, don't you? As you're all getting your karma. And we're asking you right now, dear lighted ones, do you believe in the higher order? Do you believe that source creator for all creation, for every planet, for every species there is, a spiritual court? And these spiritual courts have beings within the galaxy and within the universe, even within your planet, that walk around and we see how people are doing. And we will call things out when we see things that are not quite right, because it's our job, it's our role. We're here to ensure that a planet doesn't go into red flag. And that means that there is such great imbalance, there is very curious and very worrisome concerns that there could be extinction. And is that what you want, dear lighted ones? Do you want to have your trafficking, and do you want to have your crime rings, and do you want to have so much debauchery that you're all diseased, you're all walking around with various viruses of diphtheria and herpes and AIDS and HIV and all of these things that are the cesspool of the lower vibrational chakras, because you have no intent of who you are, you don't know who you are, you're sharing your life force, and you're selling and you're bidding it, and you're selling it, and you're parading it, and you're trafficking it, and you're putting it on the black web, and you're selling yourself left, right, and center. You don't care. You don't care that God is inside of you. You're just selling it in bits and pieces. You're selling it to be sacrificed and voodooed and jarred and mirrored and glamoured. You don't care. You just want a quick fix because you're not connected and you don't know who you are and you're very wounded. And in the cycles of ascension, dear lighted one, we ask you again and again and again, and then what? And then what, and then what, and then what? And if you get so many cycles of then what, and you keep doing the same thing because you are patterned in dark, conformed, violence, abuse, disregard, disconnection, inhumane, cruel, what does it become? You become a red flag. And your behaviors and your beliefs and your perspectives, very small and very disconnected and very disunified and very disharmonious, all of those things then begin to play on your matter. And you become sick and you become lethargic. And what's even worse on top of this is these shadow governments and the little minions. Not all cults and covens are led and directed by the shadow government. There are the odd, very fewer than normal. There are very few cults and covens, very few, where they do practice in a benevolent way, and they are very good and they're very respectful with their magic. Very few of them. Very few of them. These cults and covens that practice it in a very respectful way, they don't go out and seek new members. They don't go out and get a lot of people under them, because they're not about making the money. They're about respecting the energy. They're not about hiding things secret. No, they benevolently walk and they use energy when and how they can. They don't use it as an everyday practice to get what they want, because they're going into psychosis. They don't understand who they are now because the light is getting higher and it's going to keep triggering that which is not healed. Greed, gluttony, selfishness, misappropriation of self, misappropriation of nature, misappropriation of animals, misappropriation of children, misappropriation of what sex is, misappropriation of what making love is. It's a very confusing and a very exciting time out there, dear lighted ones, and how may you be? There is higher order. And those of us from that higher order are within every realm. We are within every dimension. And we are, in our authority, in our invisible badges and in our invisible uniforms that we wear as earth angels. It is our authority to bring higher order through the divine honor of the Divine Father's plan to instill and operate and offer higher order. Bring order to the planet. It's in chaos. It's on a downward spiral. And this is what the underground has offered humanity to see. And those of you, we say every day, if you are involved in trafficking, if you are involved in organ transplant trafficking, if you are involved in all of these underbelly, seedy, dark, malevolent experiences that are the absolute disconnection and opposite of unity, if you are involved in these things, you will be moving yourself into the red warning of the extinction, and you will be moved off to Epstein Earth. Well, you can continue your practices. There must be a shift. For those that refuse to heal, for those that refuse eternal life, for those that refuse to seek light and offer it into their lives daily. If you do not seek light, if you do not wish to seek light, it is your choice. Source will love you just the same. There will be a shift for those that choose to continually operate in degradation. There will be a shift. And it will be less and less that we will see the things like the trafficking, those of us that continue to seek in light. Because we must get on with our agendas. Agendas of higher intelligence through light wisdoms that you can only get from those that speak light wisdoms. From higher order. You will not hear it from the churches because the churches have refused to take us on and help us teach them. Because they're in ego still. They refuse to believe that there is anything higher than their religion. Then they will sit where they will sit. That's how they choose to believe, and they end in godliness. And it isn't. How godly is it if you're separating and discriminating everything outside of your religion? Does that sound godly? Does that sound logical to you? Does God leave out all insects as not being godly? Does God leave out all black dogs because they're black? Does God leave out all divine feminine because we're divine feminine? Life is life, dear lighted ones, and God is God. Perhaps we start walking in this. Breath in the inhale is God. Breath in the exhale is God. Breath in divine feminine is God. Breath in the divine masculine is God. It's been very misguided and very misinformed on this planet, and how you have been using energy and spiritual gifts and practices have been very misinformed. The Father, the Creator, will place those before you that will give higher information and higher intellect. It's up to you if you choose to move with it and work with it and seek within it. And who are you within it? And what can you bring forward within it? Because a good master will do that. A good master will say, go forth and think, go forth and reflect, and then what? We will ask you, then what? What do you perceive? What do you perceive? What do you perceive of your reality now? What is your presumptions? What are your perspectives? Who are you? What are your observations? What are your excavations? What are your investigations? What are your summations? Know that you are in front of a great leader, dear lighted ones, and a great master when they ask of such things, and they have such words and vibrations coming from their vessel, because they care about you. They want you to be higher order. And those that are placed before me will be of such. They will come seeking such vibrations of importance. Doesn't it feel good? Doesn't it feel good to know that you are bringing nourishment to the soils? That you're going to change life today? Through this class today, through this offering today, your vibrations have changed. Because you know when you come here, you get an opening, you get an activation, you get light. You get code you can't see or feel or understand, but it's there. You get it. And you walk away higher, better, more stronger vibrating than what you were before. And then a couple of days later, you come into an activation of a knowing you didn't have 3 days before. That's how God works, delighted ones. God knows what God's doing. Will you have a relationship with God now? How it be omni? How would it be present? How would it be quark-like? You can. Why not? You can have a relationship with God in all things. Step outside the Bible. Can you do that? Can you do that without going into fear? If you can put your Bible down and put it in a drawer for 1 week without any blasphemy, because God does not judge you. You do. Your churches do. Your religions do. Put your Bible away for 1 week and offer yourself the love of God and the love of Mother, Father, and the omnipresence and all the celestial beings and the aliens that you are families with on the other side of this veil that I see right now standing with you. Put that Bible down that you hide behind and walk fluidly throughout life. And you know that within every inhale and with every insect and with every dog and plant and flower and tree that you see, you are engaging with God. And as Jesus spoke many eons ago, that was discriminated and put upon a cross and lashed thousands of times, that I carry the divine sacred heart of, and I am thee, I am he. And we come forward with our stories of discrimination, dear lighted ones, and timelines after timelines, and bodies after bodies, you still discriminate. Those are your beliefs, your perspectives. How dare a divine feminine Messiah come forward? Offer great codes, dear lighted ones, why not? If you shall discriminate and judge against me, then you will not receive. God will not allow it. And year after year, you seek to discriminate because it gives you a better placement of who you are. That's why people do what they do. It's the beginning of Psyche 101. When you're into the world as a baby, you see yourself within the world. Who are you? And the only way to do that is to look through comparisons and look through, judgments and look through perspectives. But now we're asking you to unify. All is you and you are them, and you are they, and you are he and you are she. But it is the sense of self. It is the soulful sense of self. It is that aspect of godliness that says, I'm one with you, God, and you have written a path just for me. You've written my blueprint. You'll have my blueprint within every breath, and every breath, and every breath, and every breath. And I surrender it to you, Mother, Father. I surrender my path to you. Because you are my higher self. You are my 13th dimensional self. You are my 12th dimensional self. You are my 9th dimensional self. You are my 6th and my 4th and my 5th and my 1th. You are everything that I am in all dimensions, all universes. You are my every breath. Thank you, Holy Mother, Father, for building this relationship with me. Are you here with me, Mother, Father? Yes, dear, we are within you. And we are within all breath. You have such a delightful way of explaining us in all creation. And you have such great passion. That's why we have placed you before the many. There are many before you that need to be awakened. They need to be shaken up out of their slumber. They're so very deep in a sleep of judgment and misconstruities. They've been told incorrect things, dear daughter. Can you allow them your vibration of excitement and passion? Can you allow them to get the goosebumps that you get? Just by the vibration of us knowing that we are all here in breath, and that you offer us in breath, and that you offer us in wisdom, that you offer us in codes, that you offer us in delight little stories and parables, and delightful little things that you say, the things that you notice in nature that nobody else notices. You notice when a rock is seemingly out of place and one looks different than the other, you notice these things. That's godly. Shia makate ke sia la la ne ke atama asia a. Shia namaka e te ke ana a. Pe e te ke shia naka a. And all that is before you, dear lighted ones, it's showing you, and it's giving you an opportunity for you to choose in one more moment. Who are you? What's important to you? What is living in a soulful experience like? Are you beautifully authentic? Ask yourself this throughout your day, and affirm it throughout your day. I am beautifully authentic in my voice, in my structure. I stand up straight. I am important to creation. I stand up straight. My back is filled with light. I stand up straight. I matter here. My voice matters. My spirit matters. My stories matter. I like to have fun. I like to sing. I like to dance. I like to believe in the impossible. Because I will always believe in love. Always believe in love. I will always believe in love. And when nothing else seems possible, there is love. And when nobody is around and you seem to be the only one there, and you are held within your tears and the buckets of all that you have cried, and all the things that have happened to you, and the challenges, and the people that have left you alone, the people that have bullied you and blasphemed you, withheld you from your monies that is legally yours, and the governments that pretend they don't have anything to do with it, but they do, and the ones that pay platforms to silence you because they don't want anyone to know more information than what they do. They want to keep you suppressed and in this deep slumber of not knowing and not being and not vibrating. But you will seek those out that allow those sparks of vibration because you know that you're alive again. And why do people self-harm? And why do people have alcohol problems and addictions? Because they want to know they're alive again. They want to feel themselves in a way that they don't feel themselves walking in the numb, clone-like, zombie-like vibration of earth that you have allowed it to be, and you've manifested it. Till it's become an underground, and the only way for people to feel alive, as debaucherous as it is to go there, or to self-harm, or other things like that. And it's a very negative way to survive. And we're showing you. Open up the platforms of those that are here to lead the people, and the people will be led in graciousness and in grace and in light and in joy and in favor of many heavens that we all belong to and that we are anchoring to earth to be as one. And in this unified liturgy today, dear lighted ones, we're saying that there are many ways for you to feel and see and sense yourself within creation. Ask yourself throughout the day and affirm throughout the day, I'm gracefully aligned and I'm always where I'm meant to be. God is. I am this of God, and I can put my Bible in a drawer and I can walk away and I can know that I will be divinely led. This is what we're asking of you in all of your thick beliefs that keep you in boxes. When you trust yourself enough to go on a retreat and a spiritual retreat for a week and you don't rely on anything but your intuition, that's being godly. And there are those in the religions and there are those in those blasphemic experiences that say, those that rely 100% on intuition, it's witchery, it's warlockery. And yet they're the very ones that are putting pins in a voodoo doll and wishing you death. Because all their answers reside in one book. That was just a template, dear lighted ones. That is not godly. Being godly is knowing that you are tapped in and you are turned on, and within breath, God gives you and provides you an answer of love and guidance, of your highest and your best, not of anybody else's. Can you live with this breathing intuition, dear lighted ones? We all have it. Every single human on this planet has intuition of godliness. Will you tune into it, or will you surrender to the patterns of negativity, Satanism, and derisions of the devil, where you're taking in, you're getting in, you're wanting. There's nothing wrong with having those devil experiences, dear lighted ones. There's nothing wrong with it at all. You ask no temptation. You're here to master it, so that you don't go fly off the handle and have 60 bouts of having sex throughout the week because you're not handled in your temptations. And then what? Well, you've got yourself a few diseases and you've got yourself about 20 more kids than you need, and that are not being cared for, that are not being paid attention to. And then what? Then you go into sacrificing. Okay, so then it's a very dark pit, and you'll never get out of that karma, and you won't integrate, and you will not incarnate into a body again. Why would you? Why would the heavens offer you a body when you do not respect it and honor it? And you have no respect for life at all. You have no grace with life. Divine light wisdoms, dear lighted ones. Hello, my beautiful Cluedo. All that you are as a divine being, dear lighted ones, is about vibration. When you come to my channel, you experience vibration. You experience vibration, 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 vibration. I am a specialist. I am a master at activating. I am a specialist at the alchemy. I'm a specialist at the psyche. I'm a specialist at healing. I'm a specialist at healing those that choose to be new leaders of their lives. And it's going to require you get out of old vibrations that keep you stuck, that keep you in a thought pattern that think, I can only move forward if I live from the expressions of this Bible or this book or this practice of this building or this practice of this one store or this person that says that they're my cult leader. I cannot do anything in my life unless I go through them first. Bullshit. Put that crutch down. It's the wrong crutch, dear lighted ones. And that leads you into addictions, and that leads you into codependency and giving your power away. You've given a lot of power away to things that aren't your truth. How about you go to your truth now? Who is it? What is it? Who are you? I don't have anything, dear lighted ones. I don't have a house. I don't have anybody that comes to me and says, Joanna, Celeste, you should do this today. You should do that today. I'm your cult leader. I'm your handler. I'm the one that handles you now. I've bought you. I've traded you. I've paid the most money for you. You're mine now. You have to live under my rule. I will never bow to lesser. You're a 3D person. Thank you for your expression and your emulation to me. But you are not my jurisdiction of higher wisdom. My higher wisdom is the higher intellect. My higher wisdom is the higher light. My higher light and my wisdoms come from my codes and my fields, and it comes from my DNA. It comes from my interpretation with spirit. It comes from my interpretation through all life with my inhale, my exhale. I know who I am. I don't need to be told what to do, especially by people that are lost. Does that make sense, dear lighted ones? Why are you trusting those that are telling you what to do when they are lost? I might not have a house because people have restrained every aspect of every penny that's ever come in and out of me. But I'm not lost. Source speaks to me in every moment. Spirit speaks to me in every day. Spirit speaks to me in every hour. I'm not lost. I will never be lost. I will always be held sacredly within the heavens. And God will always talk to me. God will always walk with me. That's my relationship. That's my alignment. That's my knowing. That's my name. I am as my name is. I am Celeste. I'm a powerful little spark within this galaxy, and I've brought many to light, and I've ripped up things from the grids and from the anchors of this floor of the planet that needed to be ripped up, and it's shaken up. And you can see day by day, the structures of old church and state are falling, because it needs to. Because they're not guiding you very nicely, are they? They want you to be suppressed, and they want you to be silent. They never want you to question out, because if you question, and if you come forward with truth, and if you come forward with truth about what's been done to you, they're going to make sure that you never heard, and they're going to put about 30 or 40 minions of cult witches and warlocks, and they're going to suck them on your life, and they're going to start deconstructing who you are, and they're going to give you a little systematic abuse and a little slow dagger, and they're going to give you little rituals of voodoo and all the black magic that you can handle. And if you survive that, then what? That's David and Goliath, and God's going to make mountains move, and God's going to rip the floors right out from underneath each and every one of you that have tried me. And everyone that holds my money back from me, and every day that you withhold my money back from me, that is always meant for me, that was legally meant for me, and it was designed for me, and it had my name on it. And the lineages that had brought forward their geniuses and their gifts and their skills and their wisdoms about the flowers and the plants of this earth that will heal cancer within a week. How dare you? How dare you withhold what a master needs to heal the planet? I walk with God and God only, dear lighted ones. That's my jurisdiction. I walk with Anubis, and I have scales. And it will determine how far away you are moving through that gate. And it's not a judgment on any level. You have to be prepared for what you're going to walk into for 5D. Because psychosis is a very real thing, and you see them walking around in the streets when they think that they're playing everybody's stories in their heads, and they're going to force you into their story because it's their story they want you in. That's psychosis. Because you've told them time and time again, you're not on that same story, you're not on that same timeline, you're not on that same vibration. You're in a different vibration than I am. I'm not in your story. You remember your story the way you remember it. I'm not in your story. That's called free will. I have my rights, and it will trump. Know it. Be it and live it. Your universal birthright is thine self, and thine self only. That's a vibration, dear lighted one. Say it. My truth is thine self. Say that. That's a statement of power. I am thine self of mother and father. I am thine self of divine feminine, divine masculine. I am thine self of health and wellness and youthfulness. That is a statement of power. It carries quirkness in it. It carries godliness in it. We can say all these little beautiful words like quirks, and there's even things smaller than that. You can say all the fancy science words you want. It's God. It is the alchemy of God, dear lighted ones. It's a denser God going into a higher vibration of God. It's still God. The sounds I speak, the tones, the intonations, the clicks and the ticks in the light language. It's God. And I've harmonized it, and I know it. That's why I'm comfortable with being who I am. And I come forward with powerful speech that moves creation. And planets from here on out feel me. That's why God has placed me before you, and you before me. You're very lucky to be before me. Can you say an appreciation prayer for that? Thank God my guides have led me to her. Thank God. Thank God, dear lighted ones. The first that you should thank every morning is God. Thank you, God. Thank you for the quantumness of who I am. Thank you for my cells now awakening to your quantumness. Thank you, God, for the omnipresence of your quantumness now connecting with my quantumness. Because what does that mean, dear lighted ones? We talk about it every day. Alignment. You're now aligned with God. Doesn't it feel good? And it's not in a book in a drawer. No, it's in your breath. It's how you walk, because how you play matters. And when you walk, can you walk gently and playfully and joyfully like the sacred child you used to be? We're so excited to wake up and see what was around the corner. Can you be that sacred child again? That's being godly. Can you step out in love of your heart and how your heart is magnetizing you to somebody else you need to say hi to? You need to say, I love you. You need to say, thank you, you've shown me things. Can you show appreciation for those that have changed your life? That's being godly. That's why God will never give up on you. God will never, ever give up on me. Because even when I am my most tired and I have nothing left, and I have nothing, literally nothing, 10 cents in my wallet and nothing to my name, because everybody's got their hands on my life like the Truman Show, and everybody thinks that they have a handle on me. And they're going to say exactly what I'm going to do for the next 70 years of my lifetime here until I move into another dimension, another planet. There is nobody on this planet that has access to me, that will ever guide me, that will ever handle me or drive me. Make no mistake about that. And if you think you are, you're going to be walking right into your worst nightmare of karma that will never ever let up. Let's get that very true and very clear. The divine soulmate that I will be with will be one that I will surrender in and with and of as spirit. It will not be giving my power to any. So understand what it means to be in a union, dear lighted ones. It's safe and it's fair and it's balanced and it's just. I surrender as they surrender. I bow as they bow. I give as they give. Period. You are not to be erased. You are not to be left down. You are not to be not seen, not heard. You are not to be not silenced. Wake up, dear lighted ones. This is a new planet, and this is my garden, and we are seeds of voluptuousness and graciousness and preciousness. Isn't that what you all wanted? That's why you're here. You're here to be a new vibration, so speak it and be it. And know that when you walk away from that drawer, you have placed your very precious Bible and still hold it high. Hold your Bible high. We're not asking you not to hold it high. We're saying hold it high, but put it down. It is not who you are, dear lighted ones. You're bigger than that. You're bigger than the church you step in and out of. You're bigger than those that say that's how big you are. That's all you'll ever be. No, you're not. Do you realize the quantum vibration that are in my words, dear lighted ones? They're magnitudes of energies and numbers you do not know or have. Source is showing me this. They want me to understand a session and a lesson for you. We're exchanging quark light information and light wisdom. This is how it hits. Light is powerful. Through its sacred joy, through its sacred living, through its sacred dance when you have nothing on your feet but you're dancing in the wildflowers. That carries delightful punch within creation. Why? Because you have a delicate alignment with Source. And when you dance with Source, and when you love with Source, and when you have beautiful expressions of Source, and I get so excited in my passions to be with Source and speak of Source. I love speaking of Source. I love speaking of omnipresence. I love speaking of the spirit and human. I have a full activated spiritual human inside of me. And I wear this skin and I wear this bones and I put on the clothes and I love playing with clothes and I love playing with makeup and I love being pretty and I love being a goddess. I'm fully goddess. But I love to activate the spirit that is full of all that I am, and that's being soulful. And it carries a vibration, and that vibration is unmistakable, and it can never ever be copied, and it can never ever be put down, and you always go back to it. And when you leave here today, you'll be thinking about these energies, vibrations that are rippling through all creation and changing creation as I speak, because I am fully tapped in with God. Every sound, every word, every sound, every word. That's my knowing. That is my code. Thank you, Holy Spirit. We have brought her here today in these understandings so that you may understand the variances of light and how light impacts your life. Because when you're infused with light, you just behave differently. You get excited about every moment. You get excited about your feet touching the ground. You get excited about exploring flowers again as if you were a child. And you explore lakes and rivers and trees. And you think about your air and its quality. You think about the water and its quality. Because it's only God wishing goodness for you, is it not? When you step upon the floor of the earth, do you not feel God praying with you and loving you and dancing with you and singing with you? As every beautiful father does, dance and play with their children in the gardens. And throw their little children up in the air and catch them so delightfully and laugh with them and hug them and just have beautiful sessions on the beautiful floors of the earth and talk about beautiful things and look up at the clouds and wonder and ponder and muse. These are our futures, dear lighted ones. Do it as often as you can. This is being godly. And you will be guided intuitively, and you'll be guided through your senses, your sounds. And you will know that a click is not just a click. It's a download, a vibrational story from your celestial teams, and within that click, you're being reminded about who you are. For on other planets, they do not speak in words. They speak in sounds and ticks and hums and quirks and squeaks and flutters and thrills. Because your body is obviously always emulating a story. And those of us that can read it and sense it and feel it and sense it and hear it and know it and hear it, and however ways we can manage and understand energy, they're all walking stories. And some of the time it's too loud for us and we must go away and we must be hermit for a while. Because we cannot not see and we cannot not hear and we cannot not see what's going on in energy. We just are always reading energy, sensing energy. And sometimes it's too much and we have to turn it off and we have to regenerate ourselves, because oftentimes the stories are so negative and dark. They just want to go out and take people out because they don't have what they want. And how do you live with that and how do you survive with that as a high impact being like myself? When every day there's those that are paying thousands and millions to take you out. How's that okay? All I've come here is to lift humanity up by quarks, by vibrations of pyramids and rainbows within your soul and within your spark of light, within your dodecahedron. I can light it up, dear lighted ones. I'm a profound healer. I've come from many galaxies and star beings. I have a star cluster within me that is comprised of many star beings of the galaxy. And I love it. It makes me feel so crystalline and clear. I know who I am. I'm very clear about who I am. And that's why I usually am alone. Because most of humanity is not clear at all about who they are. They just want to play superficially because that's where they're safe. But don't you know how fun it is when you go deeper and you go there and you make yourself go there? Because if you've got a trigger, it's meant to be seen and heard and felt, and then you integrate it and say, I'm okay with that now. I can get over that. I've forgiven myself and I've forgiven all others. Because the money was never important, and those that stole from me and those that withheld the money from me, the lesson is, dear lighted ones, as I speak through the hands and the mother and the father of the soul of all that is, it was never the money that was important, dear lighted ones. You've missed so many important lessons and why you're going to sit in karma, why you will never create another timeline with me. Ever. You've missed your opportunity to create with a divine heavenly being. And those opportunities are your karma alone. Because your importance was the money. Your importance was control and domination. And these are the lessons of mastery, dear lighted ones. Because the importance was to understand as a soul in a unified collective of one. And are you ready for 5D? Will you give without understanding what it means to you, or can you just give? If someone says they need it and they're hurting and they are needing of something, can you just give? Can you give without thinking and just give? Can you give without knowing that it's going to come back to you one day, and knowing that you're going to be written up in a paper, and knowing that you're going to be on stage and have all the lights flashing on you to say how wonderful you are? Or can you just stop and pick up a wormy and put it back on the grass because you're just giving back to the planet and it needs it? And that wormy needs you at that moment because you've seen that wormy, and there is absolute God in that wormy that said, look at me, can you place me back in the grass? I want to do some more work with the soils. See, dear lighted ones, those of us that are seeing and sensing and hearing the song of God, we see it and we hear it in all things. And there are those outside of us that think we're crazy because we're so tapped in. And we hear things and we see things and we know things beyond your conception or your even imagining. And that's okay, you're not there yet. But wouldn't it feel wonderful in just one moment to know that all those things that you thought were important, all those things that you had in your bank and those bars on your badges and those whatever you think you call yourself important, that you've been led astray. And what really is important is about how you play. It's about how you walk on this planet and how you treat everybody outside of you as if they're godly, because they are. Whether it's an insect or a dog that's been chained up for years and hasn't known the energy or the idea to run around a park and be loved and be cleaned once a month. The animals and the children on this planet, and your forestry and your plants and your vegetables and your fruit that go in your body for digestion, they're all in need of your care and your love. It's all godly. Your vessel is godly, your cells are godly, your organs are godly. The reason why there's organ movings about in the underground is because you haven't been godly. And you're selling organs and you're selling children because that's the only grasping of light that you can get. And it's a horrible experience for us to see, for us to hear, and for us to have to heal. But you must heal it. It is your manifestation. You must face what you have disconnected with and thought was so okay for you to do, and for you to normalize. And for the governments and for the parliaments and for the so-called officials, you're not at all. We would never rank you on any planet, for you have allowed these things to occur and you've had zero accountability. All of those that have done wrong for Joanna and Celeste, none have come forward in accountability of what you have done to her, with intention and malice and such cruelty. Therefore, thus then, your karma will be and continue to be equal. There will be no more opportunities. Those are your experiences you've chosen for your body in your vessel. You've all taken money from her. You've all taken the monies from those that have directed hits and stalking and spying and sabotaging of her life so that she doesn't eat, she doesn't get given love, and her systems and her emails and her bank accounts are hacked and her phones are hacked so that nothing comes into her except what goes through you. And isn't that the most debaucherous experience of enslavement? Isn't that cruel and unusual? Are you in the year 2026, or are you discriminating in the same year that Jesus was crucified? My crucifixions have been 1,000 deep, dear lighted ones. I've been here 50 years and over 2,000 rituals done on my name that nobody had a right to speak on, or do, or place a wand on. There's been sexual orgies to try and manifest stuff and things and houses and buses and boats and the things that you think are important. And in each and every one of you cross into spirit, the first thing that you will see is it was never important. Your connection back with spirit is important. Your connection back with breath is important. Your connection to dance on the fields of Gaia once again so that she can feel that you appreciate her and she appreciates you. That is important. To feel the value in life once again, that is important. To know that your heart and your mind and your soul is very sweet and God loves you, that's important. And to heal your body thread by thread, cell by cell, organ by organ, tissue by tissue is your responsibility. And with your alliance with light and your emulation and entanglement in your relationship with source and light and celestials and children and foxes and animals, all of that is God, dear lighted ones. But you only held the importance of the man standing at the front of the church in a robe. How much power did you give away to the man? And what has the man done with your collective? Everybody on your planet must face this. We go back to the very early Adam and Eve story and the themes that you have each chosen to contract within your soul's blueprint. Each and every one of you have contracted this in your soul's blueprint, is a higher understanding and a higher order of who you are now walking as Adam and Eve. You are healing your Adam and Eve aspects and perspectives. And since the very beginning of time, you have given power away left, right, and center until there is nothing left to the man, the father. Where has the mother been? Where has the mother been in the birthing of all life? Where has the mother been as the golden calf? Where has the mother been in the abundance of the rivers? I was brought as a lesson, dear lighted ones, and we've said this in many of our liturgies, but many of you laugh it off and you scoff at it. Perhaps maybe you won't now because you're in the middle of your knee-deep karma and it's just going to get worse. Some of you might not survive your karma because you have been that egregious to life around you. We have said this before, that the Father has placed me here and hath been many of my incarnations and stories in many sacred temples of the heavens and many constellations throughout this galaxy and many other galaxies. I have come as higher order and justice and peace. I have also come as higher light wisdoms. I have also come as the epitome of wisdom and higher intellect of light through the divine feminine, as a Messiah. For my twin ray is Jesus, the Yeshua. And we counterpart each other in lifetimes of body and physical humanness and spiritedness because we choose to learn off of each other in our very vast advancements of who we each are. And Jesus finds great joy in the life that I am, because I seek the most pleasure in the most tiniest of things, and I bring life and story to it, and I show people. I show people that the insects matter, and I tell stories about the insects. I show people that the birds and the bees and the children matter, and I tell stories of such. And I bring godliness back to life again through such smallness and such grandioseness that is God and Source Creator. And Jesus loves this about me. Jesus cannot emulate this, but he loves it because he appreciates and he values it in me. He sees the goodness in me. He sees the brilliance in me. He sees the light in me. He loves this in me. And I love his graciousness. And I love the calmness in him because I'm not calm. Sometimes I am, but most often I have so much energy. I'm like a spark of light and I have to calm myself. And he plays that for me. He's a very calm man. And he is my mastery in that. And then in the very reflection, I am that spark of light and that spark of Just can't sit down. He loves that in me. I'm like a fairy. I have lots of fairy DNA. He loves that about me. And we play these off with one another. And when I need that sensation of being calm and being grounded, that's him for me. And I am that light and that spark for him, for I am that for he. And this is what your unions are about, dear lighted ones, to bring the balancing of opposites and to bring it through. And I have been this story of wisdom and light, but I've been suppressed my entire life, and I've been ostracized, and I've been laughed at, and false POAs, and false this and false that about how insane I am. I'm just of higher intellect that you won't understand, and you will never understand because you're sitting in ignorance and you choose to judge me and discriminate, and that's where you will sit. I have come here as the abundance of the divine feminine. And you have been shown in your dreams, and you've been shown in your visions, and you've been shown in other liturgies by other sermons that are other masters in the making. There are many masters on this planet, and they are in the making, and they are practicing to be masters. Many of you sit with me. Many of you have sat with me from day one. So welcome to your mastery. You're now being celebrated as a master, dear lighted ones. This is part of your blessing from Mother, Father, God. You are a master. You are a master of the gardens, and you know who you are, earth keepers and ambassadors of peace. The ambassadors of Gaia's glory. And there are those of us that Father placed before all of you. And this will be Father's doing, not mine. And I've told you from day one, I will prove nothing, God will. I was the symbolism, and I was the liturgy of abundance. I was the liturgy of healthy waters. I was the abundance of all things. And I was divine feminine. I was placed that way very purposefully, dear lighted ones, as the Messiah before you. Because you had to shake your beliefs and your perspective so much about that when I say something like put your Bible in a drawer, and although it may trigger you, it will be your greatest liberation, and you will get more closer and more closer and more closer to your own godliness, and you will get so much light within your body and your vessels and your cells because you've just allowed yourself to be godly and put down the rules and the boxes that have kept you small and separate from God. There are always higher and deeper and wider ways for us to be, dear lighted ones. And there are so many perspectives of discrimination since the days of Jesus and even before that, and why Jesus came forward was to help you heal discrimination and separation. He brought God through his stories to connect you to the flowers, to connect you to the land, to connect you to all things that weren't church and state. Church and state has its place. However, if it refuses to create light, if it refuses to harmonize with light, if it refuses to bring in unity, which is godliness, then it will stay in its separation. It can only be there. It's chosen that. It's been given many opportunities, and it still chooses to pay YouTube to silence the Messiah. So have it be. Sit in your karma. You've chosen it. How many opportunities does one need? When you walk out the door, you're going to fall off the cliff. Or you're going to walk out the door and go into a field of fresh flowers. You choose. We've told you. We keep saying what's entropy, what's eternal life. What's entropy, what's eternal life. And then what? It's not rocket science, dear lighted ones. Do unto others. But in every situation, in every story, we have shown most of you. And in the church and state theories and theologies, the divine feminine has been, up until this week, still sent bullies and capacities and groups and minions to take her out. And even though we've told you, if you take out this one divine calf and this golden calf, and if you take out this one symbolism that God has placed on this planet to be abundance, to be unification, to be the health of the waters, to be the health of new wisdoms and new liturgies, to be the health of unity for all peoples, to bring the health of our wisdoms of our shamanic timelines and our ancient timelines and our celestial timelines all in one. I have been these stories, dear lighted ones, and you haven't quite got it yet. If you take me out, there will be great catastrophe, and you will only have yourselves to blame. And God is saying, I have been the token, and I have been your bait. And it hasn't quite sunken in yet, because you are all still behaving from so much ego and wounding. I have been the bait for you to sit down at the table and heal your wounds. Because if you move on in your ego, and you move on in your church and state ego arrogance and your misogyny of such blasphemy and bigotry and discrimination, you will be of your own extinction. And everybody is seeing it in the karma that is unfolding because you chose it. You chose to refuse to harmonize with divine feminine that is your equal. Therefore, you have shut off your divine feminine energies within you, and you will never be abundant without your divine feminine within. You have a golden calf within you, dear lighted ones, and it is your divine feminine. You have the sacred waters within you, dear lighted ones, man or female, and it is your divine feminine. I am that symbol, and you have missed the stories. You have missed the parables. And so in this liturgy today, dear lighted ones, we ask that you step forward and come up unto my knees and pay thine respect. For I have survived more spells and more hexes and more curses and more black voodoo death rituals than any other person on this planet. And yet I have transmuted the most darkness and the most hate. I have cleared the waters and I have cleared the airs. And I have blessed babies that are yet unborn because their mothers and their families have been so insecure that they've taken drugs before getting pregnant. And now their babies have suffering inside the wombs before they are even born. And I'm blessing them with good health regardless of the karma that their parents have chosen through their own ignorance of disconnection and no sense of self and insecurities. So we ask that you get healed. But we ask, dear lighted ones, and I say this on behalf of Celeste and Joanna, I am the higher self of Celeste and Joanna. When the heavens places a great divine being before you, my goodness, please bow. The father and the mother did not have to place this being before you to be reincarnated again and again and again and again and again, more so than any other being on this planet. But you have closed your eyes to it, and all you've done is throw hate. And she sits with 10 cents in her wallet, and we have waited for all of you to be generous and to be offering. And we say, how many more lifetimes do you think that there's going to be a master sent before you like her, like he, like she? That you disregard life and you blaspheme it altogether, and you think that you know more than God. You think you know more than the soils and the lands and the waters that move beneath you and before you, that food feeds you and feed your homes and keep your homes safe. And what if you didn't have a home tomorrow? Is that what you need to be your tower moment for you to do unto others? For when will you give the respective speech to those that have been brought here for the respective speech for you? Because they activate the godliness within you. They activate the soul within you. They activate your celestial timelines. They activate your galacticness. What's wrong with that? So, dear lighted ones, be sure to know that every life before you, every aspect of life before you is godliness. And you'll never know if that divine feminine or that divine masculine or that child is the sacred golden calf that was brought here especially for you to bow to its existence. Because without it, there would be no existence. That is oneness. Life would not be the same without you, and you, and you, and you, and you. And who says on this planet, who says, who has the arrogance to say in this moment, as your bodies are filled with goosebumps because spirit is in you and of you and around you, who is anyone to say, we will take her out and we will silence her and we will suck all the gifts out of her, because we work from such arrogance and hate, and we work from such low vibrational misinformation and misguidance about energy and spiritual law, because there has never been such order of truth. It is mistruth altogether, and it is arrogance, and it's ignorance. To think that you can take a destiny that is 1,000 years deep and 1,000 lifetimes deep and put it in a soul that is only 300 timelines deep is ridiculous. It's preposterous. But your arrogance and your minions and the entities and the deities that are seething through you, the ego of you and the demon of you wants to take and rape and take and rape because you have chosen not to heal. And we ask you again, what is the greatest of importance on your planet, dear lighted ones? Is that you see love and unity and peace within you for the hope of all tomorrows, so that you can come back an infinite number of bodies that once you get through that 5D timeline, you can create whatever body you want. And you will be so well prepared and you will be so well mastered by those beings that God places before you to maybe stop a little bit and sit down and take notes and do your pathwork, because it will prepare you for what's to come. Did you think about that? Did you think about the liturgies and the symbolisms of being a golden calf? What does that mean? Go through the stories. Look the stories up. White buffalo calf woman, what does that mean? Look up the stories. Observe, reflect, take it in. These are spiritual stories of your ancestors. It means something. Everything means something. And we place these beings before you, dear lighted ones, because it's very, very important. These beings are before you for the crucible that is God's divine plan. And so many of you have disregarded it as if it means nothing. As if the cog in the wheel that I am means nothing. And yet we have shown you, and it will be continually being shown, those that have blasphemed and attacked and continue to attack my finances and my bank accounts and continually do what you do. When you take my cog out of your wheel, you will no longer have abundance. You will no longer have health. You will no longer have light. You will no longer have anything to do with anything. And anything that is important to you, you will no longer have. You have chosen to be in separation and ignorance. Therefore, thus then, your discrimination will be your plate that will be served. Understand the stories and the richness of why God does what God does. And it is all for your benefit. It's all about you. Everything before you is a story to bow before. And when you get that, and when you actually live in such reverence, then you can pull out your Bible. And when you read that Bible one more time, that Bible will, for the first time in its lifetime with you, give you goosebumps. Because now you have been a fully harmonized and infused God being. And that Bible is just there to remind you. But you can walk in full goosebumps all day long. That's being godly. And it matters how you play. That if somebody before you that says that they have been homeless for 5 years because of groups and gangs and bullies that have taken over her bank accounts and signed things over and ruined her finances and ruined her credit and ruined this and ruined that and separated families and taken her out in 50 sacrifices, and she's had to be rebuilt 4 or 5 times by the heavens and recalibration chambers, then how much is it for you to give what she has asked as a donation so she can eat for that week? How is it for you that you talk about beautiful things in the garden and help the wormies every now and then? Because it actually means something to her, and it makes her feel special that you've listened and you've heard. Because she is an ambassador for this planet, and she is your mentor and she is your guide. If you so wish. These are liturgies and stories and parables. Do with it what you will. These are truths. I am a cog in the wheel, and I'm very important. I am that I am. Take a deep breath. Clear and cleanse your field and call in the divine holy light. Bathe me with the divine Christic light, Holy Mother and Father, and I thank you so very much for being a part of my life story, Spirit. I love you so much, Mother, Father, God. I love you so much, Mother, Father, God. I love you so much, Source Creator. I love you so much, my Celestials. I love you so much, my ancestors. All that I do and all that I sing is for you. Thank you for all of those that love me and send light to me. The handful of those that love me and allow me to come on here every day and bring my specialties of love and light and my wisdoms. I love you so much, and my education of the galaxy, my education of who you are as humans and who we are as one. I love you so much. I love you. I love you so much. I love you. Thank you, dear loved ones. I had a very short channel. I only have a few more minutes. This is a very big moment for humanity. We are shifting in the vibrations of our constancy. We are entering into a time of new horizons and new potentials that have never been experienced before for humans. We've been saying this for quite some time. Oh, my body feels so really good. I love coming out of channeling. Thank you, Mother, Father. And so there are more discoveries for all of you to understand. In every day, you're seeing the harmonies from your ancient remembrances, harmonizing with your galactic remembrances. So this is where it's really powerful. It's really beautiful. There's going to be so many books written about this. I can see they're showing me lots of books. I'm probably going to be writing one. And so too are some of my clients on the line. It's when you realize that as a human that all of your ancient, when you become soul infused, all of your ancient timelines and your galactic timelines are coming together in this new soul infused human aspect of you. And then you get to express and you get to become this and you get to walk as this. It's the cog in the wheel, right? And so we're becoming this new version of who we are as, you know, these very incredible beings, you know, where people used to call on the shaman. No, you're actually a galactic shaman. You know, you're a galactic human shaman. You're actually all of these triads of all that you have ever been in one. And it's never been done or seen before in the way that we do. And every day that we get harmonized in greater light, and we come for these special videos and these special classes, so please share them. And we become more and more who we are because those codes just become more and more of our enmeshment because we intend it. I intend to be the enmeshment of my ancients. I intend to be the enmeshment of my shamanism and my galactic shamanism and my godliness. And you become this new version of human. We become this new version of who we are as divine beings that are celestial, alien, galactic. We become all that is godly. Godly doesn't separate, and godly doesn't, you know, God doesn't say the insects aren't valid. You know, I love my insectoid families. They have the most powerful healing gifts and tools. I love my celestial beings of the insectoid family. So I'm very, very beautiful, and I'm beautiful within them. One of my beautiful guides that's always with me, she's a beautiful 8-foot spider, and she's with the insectoids families from the systems of light, and they're always in this beautiful light ship that's always up above. And she came to me, and I had this is when I was being impaled by dark magic and suicide and all those things that they were throwing at me, and I was really in a rough state. And I was living in my car at the time. I don't even have my car now. So I was in the back of my car, and I was in a dark night of the soul, and my beautiful insectoid, she came down, and she's so gentle, and she's just so beautiful. I just love her so much, and I cry every time she's with me. She's just the most beautiful emulation of divine feminine. And she came above, and she put herself over me with her big legs, and she's so beautiful and dainty and so beautiful. And I just love insects, and I love spiders, and I love everything that they are. They're so beautiful. I love my insectoid families. I get goosebumpy just talking about them. And she put herself over me, and she wrapped me in a cocoon, and she was very gentle. I was being spun in a cocoon, of course, my vibrational spiritual body, and she was spinning me just like she did her little babies, you know, when she would wrap the babies up to keep them safe when she would take them on journeys, and she would make a new house for them. This is what spiders actually do. And so she wrapped me very lovingly because, you know, I have another timeline as being an insectoid, because I said to her, I said, I need some healing. Please give me some healing. My body is not my systems are just shot. They had done so much on my systems, and had another healing later on that night in the calibration chambers, which are much more intense. But she gave me a beautiful healing of that dark night of the soul that I was in, and she just wrapped me in this beautiful cocoon. And when she wrapped me, it immediately would just send this beautiful warmth. It was like warm crystalline water that was just seeping into my soul. And she did a beautiful healing on me. So I'm very, very grateful for all my insectoids. And that's why I look after the insects, because they know, and they see what I do, and they see how harmonized I am and how beautiful I am with all life. And they're so very beautiful. I love them so, so much. They help me become very refined and very acutely refined with all vibration, very subtle. I want to see into the finest vibration. If I see or hear something, I want to know what that is. And I want to get there, and I want to pull that story out. So I'm practicing becoming higher, in more refinement, right? Because that's my next journey, right? Is to just become more refined in my gifts and skills, and the insectoids help me do that. So I'm very grateful for them. I'm very grateful for my insectoid families. And I give you these stories to pay more attention to how we're so connected in all things. And you have various beings on your teams and your healing teams that are with you for those very reasons, to get, to release discriminations, to release judgments about insects, to release judgments about, Orions, to release judgments about Draconians, to release judgment about all these things that we've had judgments about, And so we are assisting each other in understanding the movement of the Kundalini, which is the movement of energy, the movement of flow. And that's what Divine Feminine helps us do, is remember the flow of energy, the flow of energy, the flow of energy to the earth, to the air, to the oceans, to the wildlife. It's all important. And to know that we're going to be asked to be a part of more broad committees of councils and councils and boards. So instead of having, politics being separated, they show me we're gonna have more councils and boards. So we're gonna have more experiences of those of us that are light workers to be called upon to be a part of these councils that will be building bridges from the celestial to earth and all that kind of stuff. When you feel, yes, yeah, you don't want to break down people by yelling at them, sweetheart. You don't want to break anybody down. You don't want to break people down by yelling at them. But you can resolve what it is that you're going through. If it's an whatever that word is, it's within your circulatory or sensory systems. So you don't break people, find new wording for that, because if that's your wording in your vocabulary, whether you have a condition or whether you have a disease, try to remove those. And this is the problem with 3D mentality for 3D physical 3D diseases, is the words and the intentions that you use just keep people in the disease itself. So please do try not to use those words, and have words of, this is just your state of being right now, and this is your state of understanding, but you're going to move beyond it. So have it be open, right? When you're open with Source, you're giving Source that opportunity to be vulnerable in that openness that, yes, I'm going to change this state that I'm in. It's temporary. The state that I'm in right now is temporary. It's not going to be my end state. If this disease or this incapacity is what I'm at right now, it's not the end state. I can change it. I'm going to be open and vulnerable. And don't ever behave in ways, if it's involuntary and as part of a disease, if you will, but don't label it as, it is my syndrome, it is what it is, because it isn't. You can change it and be open and vulnerable. So one more thing here, have reverence for all that is Source and all that is in the in-between stages and phases. Everything is magical if you so choose. So again, it's redefining it and opening that perspective. Again, as we showed you about that liturgy, about the Bible being in the drawer. When you can walk away from it and be godly in all aspects of life, and you become goosebumply in all aspects of life, and then you go back to the Bible, when you pick up that Bible, you'll be goosebumply, and you didn't get it from the Bible. You got it from knowing that God is all things. So again, give yourself higher perspectives. All life can show you how to be more harmonized in godliness, and you didn't need the Bible to do it. And church and state is realizing this. Church and state is realizing that they're not going to show humanity through ascension. Guides like myself will. So why am I suppressed? My channel should be growing every day. My videos should be growing in viewership every day. People need to hear and understand light wisdoms. We need to understand how to work with our chakras. We need to understand the wisdoms that are in our chakras. We need to understand that we can heal ourselves. We need to understand that we are higher vibrational beings, always connected with God and earth and nature. These are always my teachings. And so we wish you well, dear lighted ones. We're so very happy to be a part of this beautiful expanse of earth. I do have to go. We love you, we love you, I love you, love you so much. Donations is paypal.me/Joanna L. Ross. And so I'm in need of finances because I'm having to resort out all of my all of the stuff that was done on my name and in my name fraudulently, and so I'm having to recorrect that all. So any donations and bookings of sessions, vocational alignment sessions, healing sessions, whatever you want to book with, just feel free to do the paypal.me. Send in a donation. That would be very wonderful to do that. I always give out the highest vibration that I can every day, so go back and listen to the video again. Give yourself time to process and integrate the information, and then make notes. That's doing your daily ascension path work. And what is standing out with you? What are the words and the codes that you want to investigate more? What are the meanings and the things that we want to investigate and look more into, giving yourself higher responsibility for taking higher capacity and higher aptitude for your own health? When you have that higher knowing that Source Creator is your health, that becomes more understanding that every breath you're breathing in greater light, you're breathing in greater health. And so work with that God is your health, and working with that light and being that light is so pivotal and so important. What else did they say? Synchronicities will show you that there is a divine collaboration and a divine orchestration. So there's going to be a synchronization of events. Remember what we called it is the cross-connecting timelines. What did we call that, Cluedo? I don't know if you remember. Synchronizing of events? No. Sequencing of events, that's what it's called. Sequencing of events. Sequencing of events is when you're clicking into a new timeline, you're clicking into a new timeline, you're clicking into a new paradigm, and the sequencing of events are helping you find people, places, and things that are going to get you situated into where you need to be. So there is a time shift right now, and timelines are being shifted because many of us are moving up into our positions of leadership and guidance. So I'm very grateful to all of you. Thank you so much for your divine collective heart, for choosing me to be a part of the collective in any way that I so desire to bring forward my excitements and my passions. And I'm also empowering each and every one of you to know that your power and your passions and your creativity with Source Creator God, you are a piece of the puzzle, and you are deeply needed, and you are deeply required on this planet to bring forward your gifts and your skills and your talents for nature, for shamanism, for healing, for teaching, for new educations, for new school systems where our children can be held safely and they can start learning about who they are as a light being and not be ever taken advantage of, trafficked, or sold. The children need our help right now, dear lighted ones, and the education systems have been failing them, and the people that have been supposedly role models have been failing them. There's no reason there should be trafficking on our planet. There's just no reason. It's a no-brainer. We love you, dear lighted ones. We love you. Thank you for your donations. I love you.